Welcome, I'm the teacher. I'm gonna briefly go over the equations. Once again, gonna make sort of like a part two of this one, just to highlight some things, just to kind of help you along. But even though I'm going over into a part two, I'm not gonna go over everything. So once again, there is more always in it. It's just I try to make my videos not longer than 30 minutes, so I'm still trying to perfect that. But you can always do your own studying as well. There's always a message within a message. So I added the codes here. The code of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 483 726 159 753 186 429. Okay, and I also added the 114, which equals the 57, and you know the significance of the 114. That's how many chapters that are in the Holy Quran. So here today I'm gonna break down the different numbers within here. So for instance, if you take these numbers that are in black here, and if you add from here to here, like this pyramid shape here, and this angle here, you get 101. Let me put that up here. So 101 here, and 78 here. Okay, excuse my writing. I need to do that better. I'm not great when it comes, like I just can't write anyway. So 78 here and 101. So it's 101 on this side, 78 here, 78 here. So when you look at 78 here and 101, and put here. If you add the 78 and 101 together, you get 179. If you times that by 2, you get 358. Now, the significance of that is that on previous videos, you might have heard me speak about the whole premise is the 360. The complete circle is where you get into the cycles of life. So if you notice 101 here, 78 here together, that's 179. Here, that's 179. You add them up like I mentioned, that's 358. So what is missing? 2 steps. You're leaving out the diagonal, and you're leaving out this way. The 2 steps, if you complete the 2 steps, you would get to 360. So here's the code. This is what you want to look at here, the diagonal. So whenever you're dealing with supreme mathematics and you have to break it down to code, you know you're on the right track is when you can identify the 3, the 6, and the 9, because you're going to need them keys. And these are the keys. The 3, the 6, and the 9 are the keys to the universe. The number 7 means universal. It gives you the keys to the universe here. Now remember, this pattern here is all about us, period. Us, the number 2. This is the pattern of 2. When you take each number, no matter what the whole number is, if you do 35, when I went over the number 2, go back and take a look at that. And I said there was another pattern that you would eventually see. So when you look at, if you go back to the video and look at the number 2, you will eventually see this pattern if you work it. Because I think I did it all the way up to the number 36. And if you break it down, you will eventually see this pattern here. So once again, remember what each number means. So, and then look at the codes here. You got 1, 4, 9, 7. You got 1, 4, 9, 7. You got the codes here within this pattern here. And this pattern here is the pattern of 2. Follow me here. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. You break it down, that's 7. 5 times 5 is 25. You break that down, it's 7. 6 times 6 is 36. You break it down, that's 9. 7 times 7 is 49. You break that down, that's 4. 8 plus 8, 64. You break that down, that's 9. 9 plus 9, and you keep going. If you go 10 times 10 is 20. You break that down, that's going to be 2. And then eventually, with the whole numbers, it's going to start making this pattern as well. But there is another pattern that appears out of this, and that's going to be here. And you will eventually see that in that lesson if you work the lesson out. So this is a significant pattern here. And remember, this is all the numbers. All these numbers here equal up to 459. If you break down 459, that is the number 9. You remember the circumference of this is 342. If you break that down, you're going to get the number 9. When you add them both together, it's 801. When you break that down, you get the number 9. You get half of this on this side, the numbers on this side, the numbers on this side going down. You get the half point of both of them. That is 204 and 204. You look at the 204, that is the number 6. If you add the 204 together, it's 408. You break down the 408, you get the number 12. You break that down, you get the number 3. When you add all them numbers up, you get 1,009. Or 1,209. You break down the 1,209, you get the number 12. You break that down, you get the number 3. The universe is 12 base. The 3 cycles of life, the 3 keys of life take us into that understanding. We are 10 base because we start from 0, the unseen, to the completed state, which happens to be 10 numbers. So, in the beginning was the Word. The womb has all the numbers within it. You do not define the numbers. Only the one defines the numbers. The woman or the womb does not define because it makes all things new. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That gives you a 10, and that gives you the 10 base. And that's why our language, mathematics, is 10 base. And there is no devil in our language. There is no doubt in our language. Our language flows naturally, natural resistance. Like if you do an exercise, you start off running 1 mile, and once you get in better shape, you can run 1.5 miles. You go to better shape, you go to 2 miles, and you see the improvement on you. Resistance helps with improvement. That's why we say difficulty is ordained, but mathematics is the only language that gives you an answer to cause and effect. Cause and effect. You got the answers through mathematics. There's nothing to be interpreted. Okay? Either you accept it or you don't. There is no third option when it comes to mathematics. Either you right or you wrong. Period. Bottom line. Period. Now, when you look at, if you add up the numbers from here to here, just in the black, 101. Add up here, 101, just in the black, from the 3 and what surrounds it in this pyramid shape here. Pyramid shape here. You just add up the blacks, the numbers that are in the black. You get 101. On this side, you get 78. 78, 101. Excuse me. What you have there, you have 179, which is here. You add them together, that is 358. The two steps here, you get the understanding of here, of the whole number is the completed number. The whole number of understanding. And then you got the 369 once again. That takes you to 360 if you understand these two steps and how these two formulas make. So, also, the 78 here, you scratch it out here, you get the number 6. When you break that down, that's 15. You break this down, you get the number 2. So, 101 is 2. 78 is 6. Now, we know, now this is the womb. This is all the numbers in its set state, where all understanding and all thought is formulated from these codes here. This is the original thought. When you look at the number 6, we know that we were created in 6 days, or you say we were created in 6 periods. Okay? 6 periods. What is the number 6 means? The number 6 means complete yet incomplete. We are created in 6 periods. Over here you got 101. Here you got 101. Now, what I like about this one is that the 101 and you get the number 2. The number 2 is us. We were created in 6 periods. That's the number 6. And what did the 6 periods create? It created us. When you think about the beginning of all modern day basic lessons, if you're taking any type of course, they call it 101 is the beginning. It's the beginning step. Course 101. Okay? There's a reason for that. We have a 10 base understanding in our language. Meaning, if I put the number 0 up here, we say this is nothing. But we know this is all in the nothing. And the reason why we call it nothing, because you do not define what's in the womb. The womb is sacred. That's why you cannot add 0. It's going to give you nothing. If you multiply 0, it's going to give you nothing. You do not deal or add or define what's in the 0. The only thing that is in the 0 is the 1. Is in the 0. And all of what you see is of the 1. But the 1, you cannot define the 1. You cannot name the 1. The 1 is the pronounced 1. We say in our lessons, his proper name is Allah. That's a proper name. Okay? Like if you been formal. But mathematically speaking, the 1 is pronounced. Now, that's why when we get into the original thought, the one is not called knowledge because it is the pronounced one. It is the act. It is the frequency. Put a word to it. You cannot put a word to the one. You cannot define the one because the one defines you. You can't break down the characteristics of the one because he's the only one that exists. There's nothing like him. He is the only number that can time itself and remain himself. If you try to times yourself, you're going to create a cause and effect. He is the cause and the effect. Everything goes back to him because he is the original. You can add the one, and that's how we exist, because the one is added in all the numbers that you see. None of these numbers exist without the one. That's why he is the pronounced one. And when he pronounced his thoughts, these are the things that came into fruition. These are the equations. These are the patterns that the one created. And these, like 1, 4, and 7, these are the patterns of life. And if you work the lessons, you will see that these are the patterns of life. What you're looking at is all the numbers in its original form. All the numbers in its original equation. Reason why I call it an equation, because when you come into the universe, you seek freedom, justice, and equality. That is your ultimate goal. You are an equation in motion for freedom, justice, and equality. Period. That's what we seek. 4 gives us balance. If you look at the number 2, we are surrounded by balance. We are surrounded by the number 4. 1 and 3, 4 and 9. 4 and 9 is what? It is 13. 13, let's break it down, is 4. That is balance. Now, these codes here, as I showed you, they align with here, giving you the 360, making you understand that the womb is the key. Everything comes out of the womb. Period. Now, here, when you see the 10 base mathematics, and as I mentioned, we are in the age of the Son of Man. When this is all the creation was about, for eventually for us to have a beginning with the complete one. Let me show you something here. 0, as I'm showing you, is the beginning. I'm writing it sideways here. 0 plus 0 equals 0. 0 times 0 equals 0. The 0 has all of these numbers within the 0. The 1 appears as here. In the beginning was the Word, 0. The Word was with God, the 1, and the Word was God, 10 base. When you look at the 1 here, the very number that is first created in his image and his likeness is us, and we are the 2. Why did God create us? The angels wonder, why are you going to create something that's going to cause mischief and bloodshed? And God responded to the numbers while he was putting things in the sink. I know what you know not. Now this is what our potential is, our beginning, and show the significance why 2, and even modern day mathematicians will tell you that the number 2 is a unique number. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 times 2 equals 4. 0 and 2 are the only numbers that if you times it and add it, you get the same result. Well, what the universe is giving us is balance. What the one is giving us is balance. 4 is a key. When you take the 3 cycles of life and you times it with the balance, 3 times 4 equals 12. It gets you into that. Your true existence is a universal being. Don't concern yourself about somebody calling you a human being. You are a universal being. Here's another key. The 1 and the 9. The complete 1. The Son of Man's number is 19. He is the completed 1. 1 here, 1 here. It is the first code was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next code was 483 726 159. The last code is 753 186 429. These are the 3 patterns of life. These right here. And I had the codes up there. These are the 3 patterns of life. The whole thing is about for us to bring in the Son of Man. When this 2, the new beginning, because 2 brings balance, is when finally the 1 and the 0 are in harmony and they produce the Son of Man, which is the beginning of 101. The very next number after 19, after the completed 1, is us. So the birth, I can break down the 3 tens to you one day. One of my videos will be about the 3 tens, and I will show you how 19 is actually the last 10. The Son of Man is the last beginning, because once man has finally understood and understands where he come from, and his life journey is freedom, justice, and equality. His language is mathematics, and show me where the devil can exist in mathematics. Numbers don't lie. Numbers do not deceive. When you are in the harmony of mathematics, nothing has to be said, because you feel the harmony and you feel the frequency. You feel the love. There is no doubt. You don't have to ask the question, do you love me? You know it because you feel it. This is true mathematics. This is supreme mathematics. What I'm showing you is the basic arithmetic. You want to get in geometry, you want to get into shapes, you have to know the frequency that they call the shapes of your world. You look at nature. There are certain patterns that are automatic in nature, but that comes when you understand the frequency and the vibration, so you can speak a true reality, which our true language is mathematics, and mathematics creates a frequency. Anybody who is into music know you need mathematics to even create a harmony. So back on the Son of Man. So on a 101, when you're looking at the 114, 19 times 6 equals 114. As my teacher told me, that the Holy Quran brings you right up to the hereafter. All the so-called major religions are waiting for the Son of Man. Christians, the Mahdi for the Muslims, the Messiah for the Jewish people. But everybody knows there's going to come a time of a 1 bringing on the golden age. But it's not the 1 from the original thought. Okay? Once we come into our so-called golden age, when we really start understanding and using the mathematics, in its proper term, we bring it on this. The very next number after 21 is there, in which equals the number 3. So this key that's going to take us into further understanding is given immediately to the Son of Man. So his first step is he got the keys. So when you're reading the book of Revelation, he says, I got the keys. Check him out. So that's that step of it. Now on here, when you start talking about the 101 and you're coming into the age of the Son of Man, remember, the Son of Man makes all things new. So that's when you start looking at when we will get into the pattern and the understanding of 2. If you really truly want to start understanding this womb, the number 13 is key. They say it is 26 letters in the language. Okay, I'm not going to break down problem 13 to you. I'm not going to go into it, but there are so many moving parts in problem 13. If you're not familiar with problem 13, don't even worry about it. You're coming into the age of times where if you want to fully understand, you will come across problem 13. Okay? And like I said, I will eventually make a video about it, but there's so many moving parts to problem 13, but I want to show you how 13 works within the universe. Okay, the universe is 12 base, right? 12 is a very significant number. We are fully aware of that. And when you break down 12, it is the number 3. You break down 13, it is 4. It's how you get your what? You get your balance. Okay. The number 12 is before you get into the teens. The 12 is one step. That's why they call 12 inches is 1 foot. It is the first step. The universe is 12 base. It lets you know you are a universal being. You are not a human being. You live within the code of the universe. Period. Your language is 10 base, but what you speaking dwells in a 12 base system. All right? Now, the number 13 is key. Jesus had 12 disciples. Among him, when they were all together and among one another, it's the number 13. Now, what gets lost in the connection is the role of the female. But when you look at this here, you got to understand even our biological makeup and the DNA that is within man. There exists both male and female. The one or the male carries the seed of life. The one was in the beginning, was in the womb, carrying the seed of life. The reason why the so-called external world calls 13 a bad luck number, even on elevators, some elevators won't have a 13th floor. Because it's one thing in the external world, it's not going to give you, is this. It's not going to give you balance. Okay. For one thing, it's definitely not going to give you your original language. You can't even speak it. You don't even know how to speak anymore. You think in order for you to have communication, you got to open up your mouth. Your true harmony and in your thought, your frequency is how we should be speaking to one another through frequency. You understand? Frequency. All the math creates is a harmony, and you should be in sync in that vibe, and our communications should not be where we have to interpret and learn how to write, learn how to read. We are creating a spelling. All man's language has a spell. All man's language, this is an E, believe it or not. All man's language has a spell. Okay, if you have to spell something, then you need an interpretation. You are living, and then you started creating your own false reality, because mathematics, there is no spell. There's no spelling to it. You are not coming into a state of illusion. Math can get you out of the illusion, but you want to stay in the state of the illusion. Frequency. Okay? So the number 13 is key. The female in the duality, as you might have heard me mention the duality before, and when we start talking about the teens. Because the first number after the number 10 is 11, then 12, then 13, then 14. When you start breaking them down, you see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Because the universe is always going to go back to the root number, even though you got all this stuff coming on. You become a 1. When you get to the complete 1, that's 19. But in problem 13, it says there are 26 letters in the language. Okay? There is in the brain, which receives your consciousness, your brain and your heart, there is male and female. There is a feminine, there is a male. So there are two forms of life. That's why we are us. We are male and female. The 0 is female, the 1 is male. The 1 carries the seeds of life. The 13 times 2 is 26. You cannot understand fully problem 13 without fully understanding the beginning of the womb. And that's why in problem 13 it says she knows all about you. 0, because she has all the information that is in there. And the womb and the 0, and I mean the womb and the 1 are 1, 10 base. And that is within the language. And that's why it says in problem 13, it brings up when you get the formula, it asks you, well, how can you get that on the same rate when it's talking about the 10 base system? The key thing that I'm pointing out today is that 12 plus 1 is 13. The 76-year-old problem was the man and the woman coming together. Can you imagine how long that process actually took? in the so-called beginning, when in the beginning there was absolutely nothing. But since nothing exists, in the beginning was the Word. This is the original thought. And the Word was with God. After all of these were defined by the One, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You get your 10 base. That's our language. We are dwelling in a 12 base universe. We got the keys, 3, 6, and 9, to get us there. To dwell in the 10 base. When we come into full understanding, we are the one, we're going to bring into manifestation the completed one. And over here, you have 101. You got 78 here. You got 6 and you got the 2. You got us. 6 periods created us 101. This is basic overview of the equations. I'm going to pretty much stop right on the board here. I pointed out you the 6 periods. I showed you the 101. If you're interested in ever breaking down and getting a full understanding of problem 13, I strongly suggest that you study every pattern which you see up here. Every number has its own pattern. In other words, every number has its own unique sound, frequency. When you add the numbers, I already showed you how you get the 3 patterns of life, which is 1, 4, and 7. These 3 patterns of life also are the codes. Now, what is the significance of knowing the codes and knowing how to get out of, I'm going to write on the board one more time. I guess I didn't tell the truth on that. How do you get out the spell of this world? How do you get out their spelling? Because they're always spelling something. They're always doing their little spells on you. Every word, words out of sequence, words that are not in proper term, does more harm to you than you realize. When we go back into the math and start communicating properly via mathematics, it will relieve us from the spell. Let me get an example. Right now, we have so-called cell phones. And in order for you to make the connection to be able to speak to one using a cell phone, you have to make sure you got a signal within your network. Have you noticed on the old rotary phones, where it was done by a landline, when you pick your phone up, you used to hear that, they called it the dial tone. And that's how you knew that you can type in the number. You pick up the phone, you hear that dial tone. Then you enter the number that you want to call, right? They call that a landline. No dial tone, you knew you were disconnected from the landline. When you get into cellular, you're already in the network. So now they call it wireless technology. So now you're moving around in the network, and when you type in your phone, you don't hear the dial tone because you already in the madness. That's what I call it. Now, if you remember the movie The Matrix, and whenever they went in to the Matrix, when they wanted to get out of it, they looked and they had to find a phone. They had to find something that was outside of the network. And when they picked up the phone, they were able to be pulled through because they heard the signal. They heard the frequency of the dial tone. So all I'm trying to get you to see is this. Truth has its own frequency. It has its own sound. The truth cannot lie. It cannot deceive you. It's one thing that Satan cannot give you. He cannot give you the truth. But he can give you a false language. He can give you a false reality. He can have you doing things that has nothing to do with life, that has nothing to do with the truth. Ask yourself, are you doing that now? Are you living in a world that has nothing to do with the truth? Even though when you go to court, you say, I'm going to tell the truth, so help me God. You put your hand on a Bible or a Holy Quran that has the devil in it. The only language that doesn't have Satan or even trying to explain Satan to you is mathematics. Because difficulty is ordained. You look at the math that you see on the board. Point out to me where it's wrong. Point out to me where something is out of sequence. Point out to me something that needs to be interpreted. Point out to me that I can just say, hey, work the math, and you can all see your answer. Not only that, we can all gather around and somebody can go in the math and we can all agree. Why? Because the math doesn't lie. It's an agreement. We can all come to an agreement. It takes us out of our feelings because now we are dedicated in seeking the truth instead of, making my point where this is how I feel. I cannot walk up to this board and I cannot tell you, this is how I feel. Well, I feel like even though this is 5 and that's 8 and that's 3 and then this, but I feel like 5, should be down here with the 6 and 3. How come it can't do that? I mean, how come this 6 can't go over here next to this 4? How come it can't do that? We can all take some kind of childish breakdown or meltdown and try to make something that it is. You're looking right at it now. These are the equations of life. Either you can take it or you can leave it alone. Basic arithmetic is all we're talking about. I haven't even started making videos about the geometry of sound, or how all these numbers and everything you see, this is the original thought. This is the original thought, but whatever I share with you, it won't be anything to do with a spell. I'm not putting nobody under spell. If you can't prove it mathematically, just sit down and be quiet. Because you're coming into the age of the Son of Man. You're coming into the age of full understanding. There's nothing to be debated. There's nothing that we have to debate. Either you take it or you just leave it alone. But this is a brief overview. There is more to it. I happen to see the time. This is 44 minutes. I apologize to you for that. Sincerely, I hope you accept my apology. I had no intention. I had no idea that I've been talking for 45 minutes. So on that note, as the proper ending, and since we are in the winter solstice as well, everything stems from here. The one. We get all our information because of the one and the uniqueness and the beauty of the one. For he begets not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him. One times one times one times one times one times one equals one.